Welcome to Positive Chat with Riesa, a new news show that's all about the good, positive, motivational, uplifting, and inspiring news that is happening around the world. Yes, believe it or not, there are actually good things happening every day all around us, even if mainstream media and the majority of our population isn't talking about them. Fortunately, you're tuned in to Positive Chat, so you can rest assured that we're going to have plenty of wholesome content to discuss today, especially once we're joined a little later by our special guest, veteran and counselor Rashawn Thompson. But first, let's jump into a little positive history chat. If you've ever thought it would be fun to time travel from the comfort of your own couch, well, you'll definitely want to listen to this story. I want you to imagine this. You're sitting in your comfy chair, flipping through a pile of dusty old documents when you stumble upon a handwritten letter from 1776. Suddenly, you're holding a piece of history, like a letter written during the American Revolution or a Civil War era document. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, the National Archives thinks so too, and they need your help. Here's the deal. The National Archives has launched an exciting initiative called the Citizen Archivist Program, and they're inviting volunteers to lend a hand in transcribing some of our country's most important historical documents. We're talking seriously old documents. Think handwritten letters from the 18th and 19th centuries. The kinds of stuff that looks like your grandma's handwriting, but a little more historical. If you think you can rise up to the challenge to decode some extremely elegant and sometimes impossible to read cursive, then you can become a history hero and help make these historical documents more accessible to researchers, to students, and history buffs all around the world. All you need is a little patience and some old school handwriting skills. Plus, you'll get to feel like a real-life historian, unlocking history one handwritten word at a time. So, whether you're a cursive pro or just looking for an entertaining way to dive into history, grab your reading glasses and get your transcribing hat on and help the National Archives bring history back to life. Who knows? You may end up transcribing a letter that changes the way we understand our past. If you want to join in, just head over to the National Archives website on your screen and register to be a citizen archivist today. Coming up next, we're sitting down with Rashawn Thompson, a veteran who's traded in his military uniform for a mission that's even more impactful. Don't miss this inspiring conversation about how he's giving back to those who've served. Welcome back to Positive Chat with Riesa. Today we have the honor of speaking with Rashawn Thompson, a dedicated individual who, after a decade of service in the military, has turned his focus to helping fellow veterans in Columbus, Ohio. Rashawn, thank you for joining us. It's a privilege to have you here.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
All the way from Columbus, Ohio. Now, I'm excited to talk about what you're doing now, but first I do want to go back to your 10 years of service in the military, Airforce specifically, and as I understand it, you worked as a mental health technician. When you first started, you actually didn't enjoy it at all until you had a very difficult experience with a patient. Now, what I find interesting about that is usually that's the opposite of what helps someone to begin to enjoy their career. So would you mind telling us that story?
Yes, I was and still am. It hasn't gone away at all. Am a very rambunctious and kind of naturally rebellious individual. One day I was placed on intake duty, so doing intakes for individuals that came in, and there was this older man that came in, and he was just so ornery and angry and didn't want to participate, didn't want to answer questions. I ended up having to get help to even deal with him because he didn't want to talk to me week after week because he was a weekly patient. I would have to go in and talk to him and get his information and see how he's doing today and what's going on with him. And in the beginning, he would either scoff at me and tell me that he didn't want to talk to me and kind of cold shoulder all the questions that I would ask him until, a higher ranking individual came in and he would talk to them. But eventually, I didn't even have to ask him what was going on. He would just come in, plop down, and just start rattling off what was going on in his life. His story was that if you looked at him, he looked a little off
Okay.
facially. You can tell that something had happened to him. He had gotten into an accident. When he finally was able to tell me what happened to him, he got into a car accident with his wife and his children.
Oh,
And something came crashing through his windshield, and he shielded his wife from taking any damage, but he ended up getting glass and debris and all kind of stuff stuck into his face, which physically deformed him, and they had to do all types of reconstructive surgery on his face and grafts and all these different things. But if you know anything about those type of procedures, yes, they can give you some sense of normalcy, but it's not going to be exactly the same. And after the procedure, and after he had healed up and his face wasn't what it used to be, his wife decided to leave him a note and take his children. And she left him a note saying something along the lines of, I've loved you for many years through the issues that you've had. However, I can't see myself continuing to love someone that looks the way that you do. And that was the source of all that anger and vitriol that he would come in with for all of us. And once I kind of got through that little barrier of him telling me what was going on with him, it was like he kind of switched to be a completely different person. And you can only do therapy for a certain amount of time. And when his visits came up, on his last day, he left out of the session crying, sobbing, weeping. And he didn't say why. He just got up and left, and he didn't respond to anybody asking him any questions or anything like that. But the next day he came back with everybody's favorite snacks that he had taken time to ask the front desk and the technicians and the doctors. And as he was saying goodbye, he had happened to tell me and one other person that was standing with me, he's like, do you know why I cried the last time I left? I was like, no, sir. Why? What went on? And he had said, coming here was the only time that I felt normal, because you guys don't look at me as a monster, you look at me as a person. And when you ask me how my day was, I know that you actually care what I say. And knowing that I can't have that anymore really, really devastated me. But I'm going to try to get it from somewhere else and build some relationships. But I just want you to know that I'm going to miss that. And I'm going to miss you all. And then right then I was just kind of like, if I can have this type of effect on people for the rest of my life, I feel like I could die happy,
wow.
So
Wow.
that's really kind of when the light bulb clicked of, oh, this is what I want to do for sure.
And I think it's safe to say you went running with that, because I do want to take a moment to emphasize just how successful you did become in your military career as a mental health technician. At one point, you were overseeing the Air Force's largest mental health clinic at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. And I understand you also had a large team under your command too. I mean, to go from the story you just shared, you're about to walk away from this difficult patient, you're kind of done, ready to throw in the towel, to that complete 180 turnaround to leading this massive team and changing the lives of so many. I mean, that in and of itself is impressive enough, but you went beyond that. After your career, you continued to use that training that you learned to now support veterans in Columbus, Ohio. Can you tell us about your work as a caseworker today?
Well, I ended up having to get out of the military due to an accident that happened to me. But with that, if you ask any vet from any time period, getting out of the military comes with a big sense of loss, a loss of identity, a loss of purpose. And I had a big pothole where my future was supposed to be. And then as I was kind of searching, once I got back home, happened to run across an ad for mental health case managers from National Church Residences, and went in, spoke, kind of gave my spiel about what I've done and what I'm able to do and my abilities and my credentials and all that good stuff. And I left out, and as soon as I hit the parking lot, I had a phone call saying that they'd like to offer me the job. I didn't even get in my car yet.
Amazing.
And I figured that while I'm working to get back to where I was, being able to be a clinical director and things like that, because it works differently in the civilian world than it does in the Air Force. And there's more certifications I have to have and more education that I have to have that I'm working on currently. But I still am able to touch people in a positive way by doing the work that I'm doing now. And as long as I still have some sense of my purpose being fulfilled while I'm doing my work, I can't, I can't ask for much more than that while I'm trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. So.
Absolutely. And I love how you touched on just for you being able to still make an impact is what matters most. What would you say are some of the challenges that veterans are facing in Columbus, Ohio, that you're having to work through?
So big thing for most vets, isolation, not being able to feel like they're a part of the greater society, that they're a microcosm of a community, and having people walking around you every day that have no idea what your experiences are, how to relate to you, how to deal with you when you're being difficult or angry or ornery. You kind of get pushed to the side. And that's what happens to a lot of our vets. They're labeled as crazy or mentally ill or having some type of deficiency. And really, they just have experienced the type of life that a lot of people have not, and it's hard to relate to. So, vets get a lot of support, but they don't get a lot of understanding. And that's the difference. People can throw money or donations or, socks and blankets and a whole bunch of things, but a big part of the human experience is wanting to feel understood. And a lot of vets don't get that from anybody else other than vets. So I feel like that's one of the major issues that they deal with, is having to constantly deal with people and things and situations that don't understand them. And so having somebody like me work with them, kind of helps with that.
Which actually is a good segue into my next question I wanted to ask. If I'd love to hear what your most rewarding experience was in assisting veterans since your transition to civilian life.
One of my most fulfilling ones, again, I can't say his name or anything, but one of my patients, he is terminally ill. He does not have much longer to live. And he started kind of going downhill after he lost his wife. And when she passed away, he just kind of gave up on life. And he lost his house, he lost everything he owned, and then he ended up, where I work. So I was able to work with companies like Third and Goal here in Columbus to get him a suit and have him go to a local radio station and, broadcast his art, because he's an artist, he's a painter, and he does drawings and sculptures and all types of things, and that's kind of his escape. And he always wanted to do art shows and showcases, and he never had the opportunity to do so. And I was able to help him fulfill and push through with his dream. And he was given months to live last year, around March, April area. He was given about 4 months to live. He's still alive today, and he's still painting. And I feel like him being able to come into his purpose gave him a little bit extra to push forward. He's fighting a lot, but he has a reason to fight. And that's not because of me, but it's because somebody was willing to help him with his vision and his dream. And he's still doing it today. One thing when he found out that he was terminal is that he wanted to find homes for his art, because he said that even after he's gone, his art is going to be the parts of him that continue to live with the people that he cares about. And he wanted to do something for me because we kind of developed a close relationship, and he painted me this, which is a painting of my daughter Bella Rose. And if you'll indulge me for 1 second,
please, yes.
Bella Rose, Come here, babes.
Oh my goodness.
And now just to kind of show his skill, um, show you the comparison from the picture to the
Absolutely.
actual person.
I'm already, I haven't even seen your daughter yet, and that painting is gorgeous. My goodness.
Here, babe.
And Bella Rose, what a beautiful name, too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So here's the picture, and
Oh
here's
my
baby.
gosh. Look at that. Uncanny. Oh my gosh.
He was really able to capture a lot about her, and this is something that I'll have from him even after he's gone. So something fulfilling isn't even the word. It's just a beautiful thing that I was able to be a part of. Thank you, babes.
We're having daddy and daughter.
We will talk later. Okay. Thank you.
Nice to meet you,
Appreciate it.
Bella Rose. That's just so deeply touching. I don't even have words. Thank you for sharing that. And I think as our viewers are watching that and listening to that story you just shared, and how you're able to help not just this gentleman that you just spoke of, but just all these people you interact with through work, there's a sense of feeling like we too wish we could contribute in some way, but we're not mental health technicians, we're not psychiatrists or anything like that. But is there a way that the community at large can assist veterans in supporting them and helping them get the care they need, even without that skill set and that experience?
Yes, I believe a big misconception is that you have to be a professional to help. We had a acronym because the military loves acronyms. We had an acronym for this type of situation, and it's Ask, Care, Escort. ACE. So a lot of people would think that the hardest part of that is to ask, right? How are you? Are you okay? What can I do for you? Is there something I can do to help? Is there somewhere that you need to go? Because that initial interaction in today's society is, a little bit difficult. It's a little different. I would wager that the hardest part of that whole thing is the care, the C. Because how many times have you been having a hard day personally? And somebody asks, hey, how you doing? And you say, oh, I'm not doing too good. Today's terrible. And they're like, that sucks. And that's the end of the conversation, right?
That is so accurate.
Like, they
I'm
asked.
laughing because I'm literally thinking of conversations I've had like that.
Where that's
Absolutely,
happened.
yeah.
Like, they asked. That was the easy part. But caring when you hear that a person is not okay, that they need help, that they need something extra, that's the hard part. And so you don't have to be a professional to ask if somebody is okay. You definitely don't have to be a professional to care if someone tells you that they're not. Hospitals, mental health clinics, even sometimes calling police, non-emergency on certain situations, showing that you care by giving a little extra effort for somebody who needs it, and then escorting them to somebody who can help if you're not the professional. You see a lot of people out that they're veterans and they're on the street and they don't even know the benefits that they qualify for. Getting them taken somewhere can have somebody look into their background history, having them go into the emergency room or taken to the VA or any of those. They can qualify for housing. You can get them off of the streets. If one of your family members or, somebody that's close to your family, that they're struggling, you can be the helping hand to have them reach out to somebody who can do something for them. So qualifications and certificates and pieces of paper have nothing to do with your ability to help somebody. Just because I know a little bit more about how the brain works doesn't make me any more qualified to ask and care and take somebody to somebody that can do something. So if I was going to say for anybody to do anything to help more, is to ask, care about the response, and then to do something about it.
Wise words. That's great advice. Great acronym to remember. Before we close, I want to turn it back to you and kind of looking ahead to the future. I know you kind of touched on this earlier. You're working on getting more certifications. I'd love to know what's next for Rashawn Thompson. Where do you see your career going next?
I am going for my master's and/or doctorate in clinical psychology, and I am also working to be a local alcohol and drug abuse counselor. I was that in the military for a long time as well, and that's a difficult bit of work, but one that I enjoyed. And then I'm also working on becoming a peer specialist to talk to and deal with individuals like me on kind of a more personal, non-clinical level, because I feel like one of the biggest issues facing psychology nowadays, from what I see, and I'm not going to get on a big spiel about it, but it's just that sometimes people are viewed as stats. You have depression, therefore you should be treated XYZ. You have this treatment modality based off of these criteria that you meet in the DSM-5. And the thing about people and their situations is that they're all unique. I feel like having these backgrounds in peer support and alcohol and drug abuse, and then the backing and the credentials with clinical psychology, is going to be what makes me the best counselor and psychologist that I possibly can be, looking at not just the statistics but the person. So those are the things that I'm looking on. I don't want to get to the point where I'm looking at people as the things that they're writing down on paper, but able to listen to them and get inferences from their life and then treat them based off of who they are and not what they have. So that's my goal. That's what I want to be. I want to run my own clinic one day with other psychologists learning from me in the way that I want therapy to be. So
Well, I think all you've accomplished so far is a testament to your dedication and your drive to achieve those things. So I have no doubt that you will get there, Rashawn. Before I bring us to a close, I know I will get a lot of comments if I don't ask you this. There is a fur baby that has made an appearance a few times throughout this interview, and I have to ask for the sake of our viewers, what is the name? Oh, are we going to get a close-up? Oh, here we go. Look at that little guy or girl. Who are we looking at?
So this is Willow. This is my little rescue baby.
Very nice. Of course, you have a rescue.
Yeah,
very
right.
On brand, very on brand.
So,
That's wonderful.
Bella's mother is a veterinarian, and she got a call about a dog that was being abused. She was being tied to a tree and had a BB shot at her and things like that. And she knew that I was looking for a dog. She called me up. She let me know that she was available. Let me have a little house visit with her. And she came for the little house visit, and she's been with me for about 5 years ever since. So that's my other daughter.
Oh, very sweet, very sweet. Well, I can't think of a better way to end our conversation than with that little cutie right there. Rashawn, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your insights and your journey with us today. We wish you continued success as you continue this journey of supporting fellow veterans and all your schooling and education you're about to do. I know you're going to go so far, and we just really treasure your time that you've shared with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. This has been great.
For those of you at home, I want to say thank you for watching Positive Chat with Riesa. If you like what you see, be sure to follow our programming for more feel-good news stories. Until next time, I hope you have a positively uplifting week.